You're listening to The Gary Harris Show on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa.
For the Mariners, it's Houston's 7th division title in the last 8 years, and the Orioles clinched a playoff spot by beating the Yankees 5-3 and denying New York a chance to clinch the AL East.
The Gary Harris Show. UCM host Tider Insider TV. Crimson Tide Kickoff. Play-by-play for Alabama sports and sports director for WVUA 23. It's time for the Gary Harris Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome into this Wednesday Hump Day edition of the Gary Harris Show for September 25, 2024. It's wet out there, so be careful on the highways and the interstates and the local streets and roads. Not raining particularly hard. It's a good soaking, which is, to me, this is my favorite kind of rain, Chase, where it's just, it's not like it's just pouring, but it's just consistent. It feels great. Temperatures are cooler. Smells good. Certainly good for our environment, and we need it, and just a good, consistent soaking like this. But still, roads are slick, and it's rained enough that, sort of some of these roads that we have, have little low spots in them. And when there's rain, they collect water. And, hydroplaning is always a possibility when you're driving in the rain. So just be careful. Just be weather aware. But it's really nice right now. And I'm sitting in the studio, have a window right over my right shoulder, and it's just enjoyable to sit out there and watch the rain come down. I'm Gary Harris, your host. Chase Brumfeld is running the controls this morning, taking your phone calls on the Pinnacle Park at North River hotline at 205-342-9904. We got a good show on tap for you. A lot to cover. Obviously, the biggest game in college football to date this season is this Saturday night in Tuscaloosa, Alabama and Georgia. We'll talk plenty about that. First, though, I need to let you know this hour of the Gary Harris Show brought to you, as always, by your trusted partner for financial success. Embrace financial well-being with Alabama Credit Union. Member-owned and not-for-profit. It is just a better way of banking. I encourage you to find out more. You can do that by going to their terrific website, alabamacu.com. That's alabamacu.com, or get by and see them. Remember, they're also the lead sponsor for Secret Meals for Hungry Children, a great program that you can find out more about as well at alabamacu.com. Alabama Credit Union, loans for real life. Some rules and restrictions do apply. See if you're eligible for membership, then join today and feel good about your money and put a little extra change in your pocket. All right, here's the lineup for today, 9:30, the NASCAR report with Matt Coulter, and always look forward to that. In fact, I've already gotten a text this morning to ask Matt a question, and then at 10:30, another segment that's really caught on with a lot of people. Larry Butler, Larry the Music Man, longtime musician in the Atlanta area, traveled all over this country playing music, friends with a lot of the great Southern musicians that help form Southern rock and blues, and we have a music segment with him about Southern rock and more every Wednesday morning at 10:30. Also, we are going to hear from Kirby Smart. I didn't get to that audio yesterday, but he held his press conference on Monday and talked about playing Alabama, talked about coming back to Tuscaloosa. A lot of topics with Kirby Smart that we will get to. Also, we got some Jalen Milroe audio from yesterday following practice that if we have an opportunity, we're going to get to that as well. As I said, your phone calls are welcome on the Pinnacle Park at North River hotline. Pinnacle Park, a beautiful gated townhome community near Lake Tuscaloosa. You have to see it to believe it. Find out more at pinnacleparknr.com. That's pinnacleparknr.com. Pinnacle Park at North River. 4-bedroom, 4-bath townhomes in a secure, gated community. Beautiful. Great quality of living. Find out more at pinnacleparknr.com. All right, let's get down to some topics from the day prior to Wednesday, which was Tuesday. We had quite a bit happening. Major League Baseball, the Braves beat the Mets 5-1, and they've got 2 more games in that series. Now, listen, weather is going to be an issue in Atlanta. I don't know. It doesn't look good for getting that game in tonight, so I don't know how they're going to work around this. But the Braves are now just a game back of the Mets for that final NL wild card, and they got 2 more games in that series. Also, the Diamondbacks lost again. They've lost 3 in a row, and the Braves are just a game back of the Diamondbacks as well. So Atlanta is in pretty good shape if they can finish strong here to get in the playoffs. I'm not saying that they will. There's work to be done, but they are right there knocking on the door. Also, you heard the Fox Sports update. The Padres have won 5 in a row and 9 out of 10 and beat the Dodgers last night on a 5-4-3 triple play. So the Padres are now just 2 games back of the Dodgers for the National League West Division with 5 games to play. That looked like just a couple weeks ago that the Dodgers had it wrapped up. But you know how it goes. You never say never when it comes to the playoffs. You got to finish out the season. And just crazy what can happen. And then, like I said, last night, the Padres leading the Dodgers 4-2 in the bottom of the ninth. But the Dodgers had the bases loaded with nobody out, looking to tie or win that game. And they hit into a triple play to end the game. So crazy going down the stretch here in Major League Baseball. In college football, I've already gotten a couple of texts this morning from friends of mine about how crazy all this is getting with NIL, and we've got something now that kind of takes the cake, and that is Matthew Sluka, the UNLV quarterback, who is a big physical strapping dude who's led them to a unbeaten record after transferring in from Holy Cross. I don't know if you saw this, Chase. He quit the team, saying that he was not given what he was promised in terms of NIL. And he put out a statement on social media. I have decided to utilize my redshirt year and will not be playing in any additional games this season. I committed to UNLV based on certain representations that were made to me, which were not upheld after I enrolled. Despite discussions, it became clear that these commitments would not be fulfilled in the future. I wish my teammates the best of luck this season and hope for the continued success of the program. Change that word to former teammates because you quit on your team. And I know there are going to be a lot of people that say, well, you know, if he wasn't given what he was supposed to be given, I'm sure UNLV's got another side to this. But don't say your teammates. You quit on your team, say your former teammates, and you really don't care what the program does this season. If you did, you would stay and play. UNLV is 3-0 for the first time since 1984. And they've got a good team. And now they don't have their quarterback. And it's not because of an injury, not because of a suspension. It's because he quit, because he wants more money. Again, I'm not there. I'm sure UNLV had an agreement with him to come play there. I'd have to hear their side of the story before I draw my full conclusion. But Chase, could this be a situation where, hey, we're 3-0. I'm your quarterback that got you to 3-0. I want more money than what we agreed to. Mm-hmm. I don't know, but I can't imagine that if they had an agreement in place that UNLV is not living up to that agreement. Maybe they're not. But I could also see, hey, we got a good team. I'm your quarterback. Maybe that deal that I agreed to or my agent agreed to isn't enough now. We need to pay me now based on the fact of what this team has a chance to do. I don't know, but it smells fishy to me.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be an avalanche with other players doing this.
Oh, you're doggone right.
And I'm afraid that it's going to be some big names that's going to do this right before a team needs a big win to get into a championship, their conference, or even to have a spot in the conference football playoffs. So I think NIL, it's just one thing after the other, and I was shocked. I thought it was fake, so I had to look it up. And he put out that statement, and a lot of people were mad about it.
Well, you hope this. You hope that at your program there's a culture in place where guys want to stay and get through the season at least, but you never know. That's the danger of the portal when you bring in, if you have players that come to your program, sign with you out of high school, invest in the program, maybe they're a little more apt to stay. But when these guys are just, hired hands for a season, you run the risk of this. And listen to this, whether it's Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, be aware. The guys that you're enjoying playing right now, enjoying watching them play, lead your team, you're going to have to hang on to them for the next season.
It's crazy. I was thinking about this. One man that got a lot of hate for not taking transfer people and giving NIL, Dabo Swinney.
Yeah, Dabo has not been a portal guy. So, and they got a good team. I know they got handled by Georgia, but they've got a good team. But yeah, you don't want to just be totally dependent on the portal, I'm telling you, because it's hard to build a culture. But the thing that I'm alluding to with you fans is, you're watching, so-and-so's just a freshman. We got him for 2 more years. But not necessarily. Not necessarily. And, a guy like Ryan Williams, who I think is incredibly happy at Alabama. I think Alabama has been great for him. He's been great for Alabama. He and Mbakwe have the podcast. I think that he's got a lot of opportunities. I feel like he'll stay at Alabama. But you better believe there'll be people from other schools, whether they do it directly or have handlers represented, they're going to reach out to him and say, what are you making in Alabama? Because this is what we can put together for you. It's going to be a battle to hang on to your guys every year. And if you're a really good team with really good players, that's just part you're going to have to deal with. And if you're a bad team that has really good players, it's going to be even harder to hold on to those guys because they're going to want to go where they can win, and they're also going to go where they can make more money. So it's the world we're in. I know that people say, and people in my business, we're going to tell you every time when you turn on the TV or the radio, college football is healthier than it's ever been. Look at the ratings. Look at the attendance. All that's true. But under the surface, it's simmering. It's not to a boil yet, but it's simmering. And I'm one of those that just believes that it's going to be hard to sustain this system that we're in right now. But we will see. All right, 9:14 here on the Gary Harris Show. We'd love to get some phone calls this morning. Matt Coulter coming up at 9:30. On the other side of the break, if we get some calls at 205-342-9904, we'll take them. If not, I want to get to that Kirby Smart audio. He had some really interesting things to say earlier this week about this game against Alabama, but also about, his time in Tuscaloosa and trying to defend Jalen Milroe and more. Coming up next right here on the Gary Harris Show. Before we get to the break, though, let me mention to you the YMCA of Tuscaloosa. I was in there yesterday, man, had a great workout. Boy, I tell you what. In fact, while I was in there, Chase, they had some of the staff just out. I mean, not just cleaning. It's one thing to clean, but I mean meticulously with buffing cloths on that equipment, shining it up, man, making sure it was sanitized. There are a lot of gyms. I get that. Some of these discount gyms, where you join for, whatever, a few dollars a month. But I guarantee you, it's not going to be a community of people like you're going to get the Y. They're not going to take care of the facility the way they take care of it at the Y. That matters. Visit the YMCA, 2300 13th Street. Remember, until the end of the month, which is still, till the end of the week, basically, you can join without no joining fee. Just start paying your monthly dues. Also, 10% off personal training packages if you sign up before the end of the month. All right, we'll be back with more of the Gary Harris Show right after this.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Wednesday morning. Just fewer than 11,000 Tuscaloosa voters went to the polls to cast their ballots in yesterday's 11 mil property tax increase vote for the city of Tuscaloosa. That's in a city of 100,000 people. The proposal failed by only 609 votes. Tuscaloosa School Superintendent Dr. Mike Daria told reporters the rejection will make the future difficult, but it doesn't change the mission of providing a quality education. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
As much as Innisfree has evolved, it will always be that place to escape and have a good time. Whether it's for a game day weekend, to reminisce on college days, or to create new memories, if you're looking for a good time, there's only one thing to do. Head to the Free at 1925 University Boulevard. And don't forget about the Lucky Lunch Meat and 3 special Monday.
To the teachers, assistants, and support staff who see potential in every child, Grand Canyon University recognizes you. We created the National Center for Teacher Preparation at GCU, along with a generous scholarship, so you can become a licensed teacher with paid benefits. Over 100 GCU alumni have been recognized award recipients, including Superintendent, Administrator, and Teacher of the Year. Find your purpose at Grand Canyon University. Private, Christian, affordable. Visit gcu.edu/parapro.
280 in Birmingham. Plus, don't miss our grand opening celebration Friday, October the 11th through Sunday, October 13th. And check us out at academy.com with free shipping on purchases over $25.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Cloudy with occasional rain across West Alabama today and tonight. The high today 79, the low tonight 64. Tomorrow, rain likely much of the day, becoming breezy. The rain could be heavy at times tomorrow night. The daytime high 74. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
You're listening to The Gary Harris Show.
Goal line in, touchdown, Alabama!
On your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9. And streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, 9:19. Welcome back into the Gary Harris Show. Gary Harris, Chase Brumfield. A little slow this morning with the phone calls, but that's okay. We got plenty to entertain you with, including Kirby Smart, Georgia head coach, meeting with the media earlier this week, talking about the game coming up against Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Of course, there are some concerns I'm reading out of Athens with travel if the weather gets bad, but I think that what I've been able to see, both west of the storm, which is where we're at, and east of the storm, which would be Athens, that they should be able to get out of here okay on Friday. They'll come over on Friday, and I don't know if they're staying in Birmingham or if they're staying in Tuscaloosa, talking about Georgia, but I think we're going to be okay with the weather. All right, let's get to Kirby Smart. Some of his comments from earlier this week on this big game, and also just on coming back to Tuscaloosa and defending Jalen Milroe. Here's the Georgia head coach.
I mean, they're different defensively, for sure. Obviously the offensive staff and defensive staff changed. But there's remnants, because the quarterback's the same, so you keep some things the same with them. And, most of college football is doing something similar. So there's some similarities into that. But obviously the history there that's at Washington, Kalen's history, and then defensively, history Kane has, and what they've done this year as well. It's different.
Yeah, how much, if any, insight at all does Travaris have on this Alabama team, and what has he brought to this team now as he's your co-defensive coordinator and safeties coach?
Well, he's a really good coach. He's a really good recruiter. He's a great person. So he's brought a lot of energy, enthusiasm, confidence day to day in our players. He's a good football coach. So we're very fortunate to have him, and he's got a lot of knowledge. As far as pertaining to them, he really hasn't been part of their staff. So it's like intricacies into what they do defensively or offensively, not a lot there. He knows some of their players, but we know a lot of their players too, because we recruited a lot of them. And Dante was with some of them out in California. So, it's not a lot to speak of, a lot of things that you can hang your hat on. You're worried about how we play, not the particulars about their players.
Are you expecting it to be strange for you going back there without having Nick Saban as the other coach?
No, I don't expect it to be strange. It's just the normal course of progression. I think it's strange going back there sometimes because I lived there our kids were born there and lived there for 9 years and had such great experiences there. But we had that in COVID. It was more strange then because of the stands.
I know the sample size might be small, just 3 games. What type of jump in Jalen's game have you seen since the last time you played him?
Yeah, it's considerable jump as a just natural pocket passer. You see him make more throws now that are like rhythm throws, on-time throws, RPO throws. You can tell he's become more comfortable with those things. Still, some of his best and most exciting plays are when things break down or when he runs the ball by design. Either one is very dangerous. But you can see him as a deep ball passer, the vertical passing game, the shots, the rhythm throws, the outs, the timing throws, the RPO throws. He's improved immensely at that part of his game. But he's always been good at the athletic part of the game.
You actually touched on this a minute ago, but I was just going to ask you, is there any nostalgia at all when you go back to Tuscaloosa now, having spent so much time there, so much time in that stadium?
Less now. I mean, it's just, you move on. I think last time we went, it was 4 or 5 years from the time we had lived there, and it's so weird when you play there because you're in and out. You're there and then you're gone. So it's just different, but you really focus on the players, what they have to do, what we have to do to execute, that it takes away from that thing. There's a lot of people that are still there in the organization that I'm close with and have a lot of respect for, but that's the case in a lot of these places in the SEC.
Yeah, Kirby, I guess to follow up on Milroe, one, do you look at all at last year's game just with the jump you feel that he's made, and two, what are the challenges of defending him, especially for a front seven, keeping rush lanes, keeping contained, things like that? Yeah,
do you look at last year's game? Well, you always look at things like that from a personnel standpoint, matchup. You see guys in there, that game, our game, that overlap, but with him, the challenges are immense because he's an incredible football player. I mean, there is no design to a play that you can draw up and then say, well, I'm pretty sure this is going to happen on this play with him, because you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, sometimes the worst thing you can do is cover everybody with him. And sometimes the best thing you can do is cover everybody. It just depends. Are you capable of getting him down on the ground and tackling him at times? What matchups do you have? He is as different a football player in college football as I've played against in a long time, because people think he's just a runner, and that's not the case. He has a tremendous arm and can do things with his arm that other people can't. He can reach spots on the field and get it there faster than you can break on it, better than most arm talent people. So it's a tremendous challenge to defend a guy like him.
Kirby, over here, the value of the two-part question, the value of the bye week for Carson and Coach Bobo to look at the first 3 games, and then 2, just where your linebacking core is at in this game compared with the last time you met Alabama.
Value for Coach Bobo and Carson, I think it's relative because they had an off week too, so it's not like you're going to make these incredible jumps because of a bye week. What do you do in the bye week? You look back at yourself. You look back and you do quality control. You try to find tendency breakers. You try to find new wrinkles. You try to really get better at blocking and tackling, which is what football is, and that's what we focused on, was that. How do we get better as an entire team, even the younger part of your team? So that was the focus of the bye week. In terms of our linebacking core, I think Smile is closer to healthy. I think this time last year he was having to play with a really hurt foot, and he was pushing through, and he pushed through in the SEC championship game with a significant injury. And I don't know if he's 100%, but he's much closer. I mean, he's come off a significant surgery and playing much better. The 2 younger guys are a little bit older and a little more experienced. But still, those guys, when I look at Raylan and CJ, they're relatively young players, and they're in their second year. They got to play a lot more last year than typically they would. And then Jalen's playing as well, multiple positions. But those 4 guys are all playing good.
Kirby, how is Michael Williams, and are you optimistic he'll be able to play?
I'm hopeful. We'll see. He didn't do much last week. He got a lot of rehab Friday and Sunday, and was able to run and do some things Friday and Sunday, which is positive, but hadn't been out to practice today, and we'll see how today goes.
One of the keys to the game is explosive plays. This Alabama team puts up a lot of explosive plays. How do you prep for that?
Well, you do your job. I mean, they've got explosive plays that are, what would you call off-schedule explosive plays, and they've got on-schedule explosive plays. So when you have a chance at both those, it just increases your opportunity. And their explosives are super explosive. They don't, they're not talking about the 15-20 variety. They're talking about the 50, 60, 70 variety. They've got some really good skilled players out on the perimeter that are explosive. They got a quarterback that defines explosive, and they got good backs. So, when you got good football players and weapons that they have out on the perimeter, it can be explosive. Our job is to try to prevent those, not give up big plays, and a lot of that starts with how well we play around the quarterback.
All right, great stuff there from Kirby Smart. I really wanted to play that for you, and we didn't run it all, but he not only is he a good football coach, he's terrific at press conferences. I mean, he just shoots straight with you, and I thought that he gave us some great insight into the difficulty that they're having game planning for Jalen Milroe. The personal side of this. He lived here 9 years. Like he said, his kids were born here, still has friends here, still has relationships here. That's a lot of the stuff that we don't see as fans and sportscasters. We're so focused on the game and the teams. These are people. These are people with real lives, with friends. A lot of interconnections, between these coaches on these different staffs, particularly when you've worked at a place. You've been a part of. Let's see, Kirby was a part of a national championship in 9, 11, 12, 15. He was part of 4 national championships. 4 of the 6 that Nick Saban won, Kirby Smart was a part of in Tuscaloosa. So that's a lot of good stuff there. All right, we're going to come back with the NASCAR report with Matt Coulter. We've cut it down to 12 from 16, 12 playoff.
America, we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. By honoring your sacred vocation of education, you impact your family, your friends, and your community. At Grand Canyon University, our online bachelor's, master's, and doctoral education degree programs allow you to balance online coursework with observational and hands-on experience in the field. Find your purpose at GCU. Private, Christian, affordable. Visit gcu.edu.
It's the Tide Tailgate Show on 95.3 The Bear and Tide 100.9 WTBC 1230. Roll Tide.
The flagship station for Alabama Crimson Tide football.
Alabama touchdown.
Only on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
A NASCAR discussion. We do it every week with Matt Coulter, longtime voice of the Talladega Superspeedway. Of course, if you've watched TV or radio in the state of Alabama over the last 40 years, you're familiar with Matt. And we are excited because I've already gotten someone texted me this morning with a question for Matt for the segment, which we'll get to in a little bit. But we're cutting it down. We're down to 12 playoff contenders, and we're going to continue to narrow this thing down. Good morning, Matt.
Morning, Gary. How are you, Chase? Everybody in Tuscaloosa doing well?
Doing great, and I felt my oats a little bit Saturday night because it reminded me of like one of these Major League Baseball playoff chases, and a team that's 4 or 5 games back gets on a little win streak, and they get to within about a game and a half, and then the team in front just puts the hammer down. That's kind of what I did to you. You had a little hope after you picked Logano, and then I come back and I took Kyle Larson, and he just dominated at Bristol.
Oh, he just put the foot through the firewall. 462 out of 500 laps, just an amazing, especially Gary, and you know this, that was at Bristol. That's where they trade paint and change leads 2 or 3 times in a lap. It's just amazing that you can dominate that much when you're racing inside of a cereal bowl. It's just more reason to believe he may just win this whole thing. You never know, though.
No, you don't. No, because it can be week to week. But he's got, Cart Larson is such a good driver with such a good team. You don't count him out. And you're right, for Bristol to be dominated like that was, I was flipping back and forth with college football, but as much as I wanted to see Kyle Larson win because I picked him, it kind of zapped some of the fun out of the race. So we've had so many great finishes lately.
Yeah.
This wasn't one, Matt.
No, and a lot of people posted that on social media, and even a few drivers and teams, they said, man, that was a boring race. But it wasn't boring for Larson, and it wasn't boring for the guys trying to run him down and just couldn't put it together. And one of the things that I read Larson said, it's a good thing we had such a good car because we even though we were out front and we were dominating, we still had to get better every time we went into the pit because everybody else was getting better. So there was a lot of good things about the race, but if you wanted to see a bunch of changes in the lead, you weren't going to get it. It was all about Larson.
All right, Matt, what about we lost some good drivers out of the playoff chase. That's the way it goes, but we're down to 12. 4, didn't make the cut. Kind of how do you see it right now?
Well, if you'd asked me mid-season, Ty Gibbs wasn't going to make it down to about 8 or even 4, I would have kind of chuckled at you, but Gibbs is eliminated. Keselowski, who you and I really, really like, he's out. Martin Truex Jr., man, his final season hadn't gone anything like the way people wanted it to. And then Harrison Burton, who had the big win just a month ago, he's out. So, we're down to 12 now, and we'll start whittling away at those. And then a week after Talladega, we'll be down to 8. We'll see what's going on. But so far, I don't think there's anybody that's a true long shot that's in the playoff chase. I think the real story is who's not, and that's like Kyle Busch and, like I just said, Gibbs and Keselowski.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, Matt, we got a question. Someone sent me a question this morning. Would you consider discussing the NASCAR points system this morning during the NASCAR segment, wanting to understand the playoff points versus the regular points earned during each race? Why do they have 2-point systems? What's the advantage of having 2? How does each system work during the playoffs? Look forward to the NASCAR segment each week. So did you get all that? I guess it's just short version, just, what's the difference with playoff points versus regular points?
It is different because, there are championship points, and then there are driver points, and then there are owner points, and then there are manufacturer points too. As much as I love this sport and think I know a little bit about it, I can't tell. I can tell you how they score it, but I can't tell you why and the difference between the two, because often I'll look up on standings and there'll be somebody with three wins ahead of somebody with 1 win. Well, that's all about, your stage points, which, by the way, Larson won every single stage in the complete just boat racing. That's a funny term to use in NASCAR. But to explain it in detail, I'll be very, very honest with you, Gary. I can't. I appreciate the question and that person listening, but I'd have to do a whole lot of studying between now and next Wednesday.
Yeah, that was Gil that sent that in, and I don't know that many people could explain it, Matt. It is convoluted, but we'll figure it out when somebody's holding that trophy. All right, we go to Kansas, and of course next week we'll be really, buzzing for Talladega. But Hollywood Casino 400 presented by ESPN Bet. I love these names. Of course, the Bristol race was the Bass Pro Shops night race, and this is the Hollywood Casino 400 presented by ESPN Bet. I've got the first pick this week, and looking it over, I just don't see any way I can't ride the hot hand. Larson's got a good history at this track. They were so dominant. I know. Oh, listen, I jumped the gun. Give us the track report before we get to our picks. Give us the track report at Kansas.
Well, oddly enough, the Speedway, which is a 1.5 mile oval, sits right next to Hollywood Casino. There you see the name. But 1.5 miles, 20-degree bankings. They started racing NASCAR in 2001. Jeff Gordon was the first winner. Denny Hamlin holds, as far as current drivers, and really all drivers, he's won 4 times there.
Yeah, he's really good.
One thing I remember, we talk about this every time Kansas pops up. For whatever reason it is, drivers love Kansas. It may just be the amount of lanes and amount of passing. I'm not really sure why. It's just like I've never quite figured out why they love Miami so much. But it is a driver favorite, and we'll see. And you get to pick. So I'm very interested to see who you're going to take because
Well, you're probably going to take the one I don't take, because I think it's just like last week. I think it's, the two drivers that jump out at you are Hamlin because of his record there, and Larson because he's also got a good record there, and what that team was able to do at Bristol, even though this is an entirely different speedway. I think Hamlin is dangerous here. I think he's a guy that if I wasn't just riding the wave, I'd probably pick Denny. And I think you'll probably be happy to pick him. Who knows? Maybe you'll throw a curveball. But I'm going to take Larson. I just, that's a strong team. And coming off a race like they had at Bristol, I just don't see how they don't carry that over to Kansas.
It's the best pick. But I kind of weigh things when I'm looking at this. And Larson won at Kansas this race, back in May, I guess. He won it, and then he won last week. So I kind of looking, well, maybe that's too many wins.
Yeah, Denny's got the incentive. You're right.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Denny Hamlin. He's won 4 times. Maybe he's gonna win 5.
Yeah,
but we're just picking the same guys we picked last week.
Yeah, I know, but we're both trying to pick guys we think are going to win, and now that you've stated what you stated, I'm kind of already regretting I didn't take Hamlin, because you're right. I think that Larson will be strong, but he's not going to do anything stupid, and if Larson's leading Denny late, Denny will have the option maybe to get to him, and probably would. So it'll be interesting. Of course, next week at this time, your mind's going to be all over the place as you're getting ready for Talladega and the Yellowwood 500. So we'll dive in there full speed. But right now, is everything on pace? I know we're all happy that this weather event is this week and not next week.
Oh yeah, this rain would just it would be awful if I don't like it now. It's going to affect some high school games and that kind of stuff. Maybe I ain't look long range. What? Just let me ask you, Mr. Span. What's it supposed to do Saturday for the Alabama-Georgia game?
Supposed to be good. It's by Saturday, everything's supposed to be okay, which is the good news.
Yeah. That's a good thing. But yeah, we'll be in full gear. Yes, pun intended. In a week, I'll go over there on Thursday, and then I'll grab the microphone and start working. And I'm just, I've been so privileged to be a part of that track for so many years, and I look forward to going back to it. And I know it's everybody's track favorite around here, and we'll see what happens.
Well, as we sit here today, and you've already picked Hamlin, and I've picked Larson, and they're clearly two of the favorites, but who are some other guys to keep an eye on in this round of 12 that you think potentially could hoist that championship trophy at the end?
To win it all, I think Larson would be the favorite, but Hamlin, and we've said this so many times on your show, Hamlin's never won a championship, which is hard to believe. But I'll tell you one guy that you'll agree with me that I don't think you can ever count out, because when it comes right down to it, he'll dump you if need be, but don't count out the 22, Logano.
Never.
And, maybe Chase Elliott gets another one. I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen. But I'll tell you what, if you have a Hendrick Motorsports or a Penske, you've got half the field covered already.
You do. Man, I'm already regretting not taking Hamlin. I just was scrolling through some info here, and I just saw an article, don't bet on Larson at Kansas, for all the reasons that you just gave. He's, this is lining up well for Denny. So I did a little victory lap this morning, but so what am I? I know Jeff's got all the information. I'm up 4-2, Matt. Is that right?
Yeah, you're up 4-2, and deservedly so. But we still got a few more races left. Let's see what happens.
Yeah,
I'll battle you to the finish. I promise you that.
And I think you're feeling pretty good about Sunday. All right, what's your take on Bama and Georgia, the biggest game of the college football season to this point?
Well, I just heard Kirby a minute ago on Tide 100.9, and the big factor here is Milroe. I mean, how do you defend that guy? If he's averaging 3 throwing and 2 running per game. He's really very, very difficult to defend.
He is, yeah.
I think that the fact that it's in Tuscaloosa, I mean, it is the marquee matchup of the football season, not just Saturday, the football season to date. So I'm hoping that Alabama's defense is young in the secondary, but they can, hold Beck down a little bit, and we can move the football on that Georgia defense, which I don't think is quite as good as it has been in the past. I say that, and you never know what happens. But Kentucky didn't do Alabama any favors, did they?
I don't know, man. I'm gonna push back on that a little bit, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I think this game, with what's on the line, with Georgia's dominant as they've been the last few years, having that Alabama record hang over them. Kirby's 1-5 against Alabama, even though it was Nick Saban. I just don't know that what happened in that game was going to impact their preparation either way for this one. They'd had a bye. If they'd have won 40-0, they'd have still had a bye. Kirby would still be able to bring them back down to I understand the quick reaction to, oh man, this is going to be an attention getter. But I don't know that you need to have your attention gotten for this game. I think in some ways, if they had won big, Kirby would have just as much ammo to come back and say, now listen, I don't think that what happened in Lexington's got anything to do. So I just think this is one of those standalone games. Both teams have byes. I like that. No excuses. So I just think Georgia's going to be ready to play either way. I think Alabama's going to be ready to play. I think you got good on good here. And my expectation is that both these teams are going to be meticulously prepared and ready to play. And, it's going to be a great game. And it's going to be decided by probably who takes care of the football, who doesn't have penalties.
Yeah.
All those things that.
And up front.
Yeah. If they were coming straight out of the Kentucky game to this one without a bye, then maybe, you could say, oh, boy, that's going to really have. But with the bye, I just don't know that what happened in that game has any carryover here. So
well, it does give Alabama a lot of game film to go over. They can see what Kentucky was doing.
Yeah, hopefully what some of the things Kentucky did defensively, Alabama will be able to blueprint that a little bit. And we know Alabama's got the athletes. So I'm just looking forward to it. I've said this, Matt, and, I was on another show this morning before I did my show and was asked that, what does Alabama need to do to win the game? It was kind of like I've been getting, a lot of this over like Alabama. I just said Alabama just needs to be Alabama. I said, listen.
Be Alabama.
Yeah, I still – Georgia's talented, but so is Alabama. This narrative that somehow is floated around out there that Alabama's not elite anymore, when last time I checked, they are the defending SEC champion. Last time I checked, they're the team that beat Georgia and made it to the playoff, not Georgia. I think Alabama, if they just prepare well and play well, can beat anybody. That includes Georgia, Texas.
Well, it's almost like the addition of Texas, Oklahoma, suddenly Alabama got worse. Well, you know what? You just said it, Gary, and that's just emphatically Alabama's still Alabama.
Yeah, so if they play well at home, they're going to have a chance to win the game. And I know Georgia feels the same way. That's what's great about these matchups. It's like that college football playoff semifinal last year. And Michigan went 15-0 and won the national championship. But Alabama could have won that game. Play here or there, Yeah. So that's what these games often come down to. Same thing, when Alabama's beating Georgia or the one time that Georgia beat Alabama. Most of those games came down to, the last few minutes of the football game. And I bet this one will as well.
Yeah, and that's one thing we almost can just guarantee.
And you'll be in town. You'll be in town.
Alabama Georgia games in the past have just been absolute great football games, and I expect the same thing at Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium.
And you'll be in town for your show?
Oh, yeah. Please come by and see the gang, Christian, DC, and myself. We will be at Grandstand, I think, beginning around 1:30. So come by and grab a cold beer and do some pre-gaming with us. And
Absolutely.
Watch the game. Yeah. Thanks for letting me mention that.
Thanks, Matt.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
All right, 9:49 here on the Gary Harris Show, and we got one final segment here in this first hour to get to on the other side of the break, so you keep it dialed in. Second hour, going to have Larry the Music Man at 10:30. Going to hear from Jalen Milroe, but we'd love to get some phone calls in as well. All right, this Rainy Wednesday continues. We'll be right back after this.
On the next Inside the Locker Room with Coach Wimp Sanderson and Barry Sanderson.
Tune in Tuesday, 7:30. We'll have J.C. Sherbert. We'll go around the ACC with J.C., brought to you by Yellowwood. In the second hour, Dad will pick his Blue Plate special, coming off a victory in the Tennessee game. Hopefully he will get hot. Plus, we'll take your phone calls throughout the show.
Inside the Locker Room, weekdays 7 to 9 a.m. on Tide 100.9 and Tide100.9.com.
Tuscaloosa's Old Colony Golf Course is an 18-hole championship layout designed by 1976 U.S. Open champion Jerry Pate. Director of Golf John Gray and fitting specialist Bob Montgomery are PGA certified. Mike Shivitz is the head professional and director of the Tuscaloosa Junior Golf Program. Call today to secure a tee time at the Tuscaloosa Championship Golf Course. Everyone can play. 205-562-3201. Old Colony is operated by Para.
If you haven't already, you've got to try Tuscaloosa's unique breakfast, brunch, and lunch concept. Brick and Spoon, downtown Tuscaloosa at Timerson Square. It's fresh food with a Cajun flair featuring a full bar with build-your-own Bloody Marys and mimosas. Open daily, 7 a.m. until 2 p.m. Available for after-hours events, rehearsal dinners, receptions, and birthdays. They offer brunch and lunch catering. Call Brick and Spoon at 205-345-5551 for more information.
Los Tarascos has been serving Mexican favorites like burritos, fajitas, and quesadillas since 1999. Their new location is at 4100 Owen Parkway in Northport. And, of course, you can find Los Tarascos in Tuscaloosa at 110 Skyland Boulevard. The bar areas feature big screen television so you can enjoy your favorite sporting events. Los Tarascos features daily happy hour specials. And for the best Mexican cuisine in West Alabama, remember, the name is Los Tarascos with locations in Tuscaloosa and Northport.
Life doesn't wait for when your finances are in perfect order. It just happens. But no matter what surprises come your way, Alabama Credit Union will be here to help make it affordable with great personal loans, mortgages, and auto loans. They offer an easy application process and fast decisions so you can stay focused on feeling good about whatever life brings your way. Alabama Credit Union will be here to help make it affordable with great personal loans, mortgages, and auto loans. Alabama Credit Union, loans for real life. Visit alabamacu.com to learn more. Some rules and restrictions apply. See if you're eligible for membership, then join today and feel good about your money.
Since 2011, Billy's Sports Grill, located on Main Avenue in historic downtown Northport, has been serving their legendary signature chicken sandwich, award-winning wings, and handcrafted cocktails. Billy's is also the spot to watch all your favorite sporting events with big screen, high-definition televisions, both dining rooms, at the bar, and outside on the beautiful patio. Come by and say hello to Kim and Lisa, the Billy's Management Dream Team. Billy's, good food, good friends, and good time.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Cloudy with occasional rain across West Alabama today and tonight. The high today 79, the low tonight 64. Tomorrow, rain likely much of the day, becoming breezy. The rain could be heavy at times tomorrow night. The daytime high 74. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Covering University of Alabama sports, as well as the national and local scene as well. The Gary Harris Show, only on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, 9:53. Welcome back into the Gary Harris Show. And a couple of tidbits that I want to pass along before we close out this segment. I don't know, Chase, if I've even mentioned my SEC point spread predictions. Maybe I did briefly earlier in the week. Can't remember, but I went 6-4 this past weekend, which is not bad. So I hit Florida, Tennessee, Ohio, Ole Miss, Texas, and South Carolina. I missed Auburn, Missouri, which I regretted that one the minute I took it, to be honest with you. Texas A&M, and LSU, although LSU was laying 22.5, I think they wound up winning by 17 or something like that. But anyway, 6-4. So for the season, I'm 22-19-1, which isn't bad at all. I mean, anytime you're over 500 in point spread predictions in the SEC, but after that 8-1 start, it was good to get back over 500 after I'd had a 3-6-1 and a 5-8 week. So 22, 19, and 1 for the week. Also, our Bama football trivia contest continues on Friday, courtesy of T-Town Menswear and T-Town Gallery in the University Mall. And since it's Georgia week, Chase, it's only appropriate that we give away a 2nd and 26 print. Tua and Devontae. How about that? Tell you more about it tomorrow, but it is a special print for this week from T-Town Menswear and T-Town Gallery in the University Mall. So we'll look forward to that. As far as the game is concerned, again, I mean, you analyze it, you break it down, you look at trends, you do all that stuff, and I'll go ahead and tell you, I gave my score prediction last night on Tider Insider TV, and I got Bama winning 27-17. I really believe that that Alabama is going to win outright. Of course, they're getting whatever points they're getting, whether you locked it in earlier at a higher number, if it comes down to 1 or whatever, I think you're going to win the game outright. And I don't think it's going to be a really high-scoring game. I think that both these defenses are good, and I think that Alabama has a more explosive offense than does Georgia. I think that's going to be the difference. I think Alabama's going to be able to make a couple explosive plays, and I think Alabama will limit Georgia's explosives. Now, do I worry about Georgia lining it up and getting physical and getting in the downhill running game and then working play action off of that with Delk, the tight end, and some other guys? Sure, I do. But I think Alabama is going to get this game. And if you follow me, you know that I've picked against Alabama several times when it's come to Georgia, including the SEC championship game last December, and gladly ate crow. But I think Bama's going to get it done on Saturday night. All right, we are going to wrap it up for hour number 1. It's been brought to you by Alabama Credit Union, member-owned and not-for-profit. It's just a better way of banking. Hour number 2 coming up. We're going to hear from Jalen Milroe, Alabama quarterback. Also, Larry the Music Man. Let's get some phone calls going. Been slow today on the phone calls. Pinnacle Park at North River Hotline, 205-342-9904. 205-342-9904. We'll be coming back with the second hour of the Gary Harris Show. So keep it dialed in to Tide 100.9 FM and 1230 AM WTBC.
Feeling these changes within just a couple of days.
Text support to 511-511.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Nick Cope.
The Padres clinched a playoff spot in dramatic fashion last night in Los Angeles.
0-1. Swinging away, ground ball to Machado. He hits third, that's one. Goes to second in time, on to first, a triple play! A triple play! And the ball game is over! The Padres clinch a postseason berth on a 5-4-3 triple play.
That's from the Padres radio network. San Diego now just 2 games back of the Dodgers for the NL West. Marcus Cromartie, the NIL representative for former UNLV quarterback Matthew Sluka, told ESPN that Sluka was verbally promised a minimum of $100,000 by a UNLV assistant to transfer to the school, but none of that money was paid.
The Gary Harris Show. UCM host Tider Insider TV. Crimson Tide Kickoff. Play-by-play for Alabama sports and sports director for WVUA 23. It's time for the Gary Harris Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Gary Harris Show for hour number 2 right here on Tide 100.9 FM, 1230 AM WTBC. We've got Larry the Music Man coming up at 10:30. Also, we're going to hear from Jalen Milroe. But right now, we're going to kick off this segment by jumping out on the Pinnacle Park at North River Hotline and talking with Greg over in Birmingham. Good morning, Greg.
Hey, good morning, Gary. How you doing this morning?
Doing great, man.
I'll tell you one thing that Alabama's got to do Saturday night that I hadn't is their tackling. Their tackling to me has been not very good. I saw a Wisconsin player where the tackler hit him, and the guy from Wisconsin went on for about 5 more yards. We can't have that in this game.
No, I agree with you. You're gonna have to get people on the ground. Of course, it's the one area on that defense where I think most of us are concerned about, the run game and run fits and holding up at the line of scrimmage. So we'll see what Alabama's got against a very physical offensive line, even with Tate Ratledge out. I think they're going to have a commitment to run the football, and it'll be a challenge. There's no doubt about it, Greg. But I do still, I still like the talent on this defense. I like the potential on this defense, and I think it's got a chance to be outstanding. And certainly Saturday night's a good time to go ahead and take that next step defensively and show that you've got the mettle to be a championship caliber defense. So it'll be a big litmus test for Alabama on Saturday night, no doubt about it.
Hey, let me ask you one other thing. How comfortable are you with the field goal kicker?
Very, very. I'm
Okay.
very comfortable. The one he missed at Wisconsin, he hit that beautifully. It literally was 2 or 3 feet right of the upright. And DeBoer even said after the game that they might have misjudged the wind there a little bit. I think that he's an outstanding kicker. I do. And the kickoff guy, Talty's been good, and I think Graham Nicholson is a terrific place kicker. So I'm very comfortable with him as the kicker. Yeah.
Hey, one other thing, I'll let you go. Everybody keeps talking about, we want to open the offense up. We want to see various things, plays in the middle of the field and so forth. I wonder if, Coach DeBoer always says, we're only going to play the plays that Milroe is comfortable in. I wonder if he is not comfortable throwing the ball in the middle of the field.
Oh, I don't know.
And then those are not his plays he feels comfortable with.
Well, one of the touchdowns he threw to Ryan Williams was right in the middle of the field, and it was a beauty. I think that he's. I don't look at him and think, well, he's not comfortable making this throw. Listen, he's got the arm talent to make every throw that you need to make, and that's something that Kirby pointed out. And I'm not saying this to you, Greg. I'm talking in generalities here. I think when you're a fan of a certain team, you're always looking to find your flaws. You're always looking, we can't do, and with Milroe, there just seems to be a lot of, well, he needs to do this, he needs to do that, he needs to get the ball out quicker, he needs to throw, this guy, he needs to be more consistent. But I'm telling you, man, if you're an opposing defensive coordinator, Jalen Milroe is a headache. He's a problem. In other words, if Jalen Milroe was playing for Georgia this week and you were having a game plan against him, you'd be scared to death. And I'm not saying you're not afraid of Carson Beck, but I'm just saying Jalen Milroe is a incredible playmaker. And he's got 14 touchdowns through 3 games. So I don't think, to answer your question, I don't think he's scared to throw the ball anywhere. I think sometimes, those deep routes are designed to go down the sideline and try to beat the corner. But I think if the middle of the field is open, he'll throw it to the middle of the field. I've seen him do it.
Yeah. I'm a big Milroe fan, and I'm glad he's on our team. And roll Tide. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Thank you, Greg. Appreciate you, man. All right. 10:06 here on the Gary Harris Show. All right. Something I'm going to do real quick that somebody had messaged me about, and it's a good topic. And since we're, got a little time to do it right now, with Saban out, someone has asked me to rank the 16 SEC head football coaches. And it's something I've done before, but I haven't done it in a while. And I'm sitting here thinking about it right now because it's kind of tough with a lot of new coaches and a lot of coaches that have not, as long as Saban was in the league, it was a no-brainer. Saban was number one, so you need number one. Now I'd have to give Kirby that top spot just based on, what he's done at Georgia. And after that, man, it's tough. I mean, maybe I'm biased. I'd have to go Kalen DeBoer number 2. I mean, he played for a national championship last year, and that separates him from a lot of other coaches in this league. So I'd put DeBoer at 2. I'd put Kiffin at 3. I just think what he's been able to do at Ole Miss, even though they haven't gotten to the playoff, I think they will. I'd probably put Sark at 4. I don't know, I'll change that. I'd put Sark at 4. They made it to the playoff last year. I'd put Heupel at 5. I would put, I'm just going through the coaches trying to figure out the way I would rank them. Not that it matters, but somebody did ask me. Heupel at 5. I'd probably put Kelly at 6, although I think Kelly has a tendency to be a little bit overrated. I'd probably go Elko at 7. I thought what he did at Duke was really strong. Stoops at 8. Drinkwitz at 9. Venables at 10. Freeze at 11. I might put Freeze at 10 still based on what he was able to do at Ole Miss. Then Venables at 11. Maybe Clark Lee at 12, Beamer at 13, or either way, you might could even flip them. Pittman at 14, Napier at 15, although that might be a little high for him, and Levy at 16. So that's the way I'd go for now. All right, let's jump out on the Pinnacle Park at North River hotline and welcome in Tom. Good morning, Tom.
Gary, how are you?
Doing well. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. Who'd you say was number 1?
I said Kirby Smart's number 1.
Okay, I agree with you. I like Coach Smart, and I tell you why. It's hard for me to pull against a guy that was with us for 9 years, and we won a lot of freaking football games with him around here. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, do I want to beat him? Well, of course. But as far as liking or disliking or anything like that, I really like Coach Smart. And I'm glad to see that he was able to kind of go and get his dream job, you know. And because he paid his dues with us, he earned it.
Absolutely. No doubt about that. 100%.
I'll tell you something, though, that I dislike about Coach Freeze. You know, Lane Kiffin, when he talks about Coach Saban, he refers to him as Coach Saban. When Kirby talks about Coach Saban, he refers to him as Coach or Coach Saban.
Mm-hmm.
Sark, same thing. Sam Pittman, same thing. But for some reason, and I think this speaks to what kind of person Coach Freeze is, he calls him Nick. And I know Coach Saban don't care. But, you know, in the lay of the land sort of a thing, you give people, you know, that have done and accomplished, you give them the title that they've earned. Coach Saban, obviously. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Do you agree with that?
Well, it depends. Listen, I've always referred to him as Coach Saban, but you know, for some of these coaches, if they refer to him as Nick, it doesn't bother me. I mean, it doesn't. Yeah, I know. And just like on game day, you know, when they call him Nick, Reese calls him Nick. I mean, he's working with those guys. I've heard a lot of Alabama fans gripe when a media member refers to him as Nick. And like I said, I've always called him Coach Saban, but it doesn't. Yeah. You know, it doesn't bother me when somebody calls him Nick. I don't look at it as disrespectful. And if you've got a personal relationship with him in particular, as some of these coaches do, and they want to refer to him as Nick, I guess I'm not saying that it doesn't bother some people, and maybe like you said, maybe it bothers you. It just doesn't usually register with me that much. Now, if there's when he was coaching here, and if there was some young reporter who didn't know him and came in to do a feature story or something and keeps calling him Nick, I'd probably notice that and say, man, what's up with this? But for the most part, when I talk about Coach Bryant, I still refer to him just like that as Coach Bryant. I would never think about saying Paul, and you're right. I guess, when you're the coach of that level.
I don't do that.
Yeah, well,
and Miss Mayor Harmon never did like people call him Bear. And
well, she always called him Paul. Obviously, she was married to him. But he listen. Coach Bryant liked being.
Paul.
Yeah, but Coach Bryant liked being Bear Bryant. Now I've talked to a lot of people that work for him. Coach Griska, Coach Hennessy, people that are passed away now. Coach Rutledge. He liked the nickname the Bear. He didn't mind that at all.
One other thing, Philip predicted this morning on Inside the Locker Room with Coach Anderson and Barry, Alabama would win the game 38-33. And I've been thinking, and Philip's been saying that you're going to have to get the better part of 49 points to beat Georgia. And, I got to thinking, do you remember that
Who said
game?
that? Who said you had to score 49 points to beat Georgia?
Philip. And
our caller, Philip? Well, I don't know where he gets that from. I mean, I haven't seen – there haven't been 49 points scored by either one of these teams very often when they played each other. I don't understand that thinking. Georgia scored 13 – hang on a second, Tom. You got me going here a minute. Georgia scored 13 points at Kentucky. I mean, I don't – I mean, maybe he's right, but you got to score 49 points to win this game? He thinks Georgia's getting in the 40s?
The better part. Maybe he'll call in and tell you, but I understood him to say you're going to have to put some points on the board to win. And I got to think, Gary, what game was that? Georgia came to Tuscaloosa years ago. Jay Barker was a quarterback, and they come in with that hot shot quarterback. He was supposed to be the next thing. And Jay out-passed him like crazy, and it was a high-scoring game. You remember that?
Jay Barker's year?
You know what game I'm talking? Yeah.
It was 94. It was 94. Georgia came in here with Eric Zier and Jay Barker out-dueled Eric Zier. Eric Zier had an incredible game.
Now, you remember that game, how good a game that was?
Yeah, it was a great game.
Yeah. And but I just wonder if we ain't looking at something like that.
I don't think so. I mean, listen, I've been wrong before. I don't.
Me too. I just, it's Wednesday. We're getting closer. Start thinking about stuff and what's happening past all that kind of stuff. And I just wonder. And then Philip.
Of course, let me tell you one thing about 94 to kind of gonna blow you out of the water a little bit. The game was so different then. You think of that. You think you got to get in the 40s. You think of that game as this shootout, but it was 29-28 was the score.
Really? I thought it was more than that.
No, it was 29-28. So
I thought it was like 30-something.
So it wasn't like it was 45-44 or something like that. So hey, maybe like I said, maybe it'll be a shootout. I don't see that, but
I don't know. I thought I'd throw that out there.
No, I'm interested. Hopefully, Phillips listening can call back in and explain because I don't.
Yeah.
I got it. Like I said, I got it 27-17. So
you got what?
27-17.
That's not bad. That's not bad right there. I don't think. No. But anyway, I thought I'd call in. Thanks, Gary.
All right, buddy. Thank you, Tom. 10:16 here on the Gary Harris Show, and we're rocking and rolling. And just a reminder that if you need your house to look its best, if you need some work on your floors or in your bathrooms, and you want to get it ready for football season for your parties, let me tell you something right now. Houston Hydro-Steam and carpet cleaning in Tuscaloosa, nearly 40 years in business. That's really all you need to know. Local business, 40 years, quality work you can stand on. Carpet and upholstery cleaning, rug cleaning, residential, commercial. They can handle water damage, deodorizing, fabric protection, tile and grout cleaning. Jackie Houston and his folks, they do it right. I appreciate Jackie for being a part of the show. And so when you're getting ready for the holidays, getting your house to look its best, Houston Hydro Steam Carpet.
% satisfaction and appointments set around your schedule. Give us a call for all your steam cleaning needs, 205-553-9460. Houston Hydro Steam. Quality work you can stand on.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Cloudy with occasional rain across West Alabama today and tonight. The high today 79, the low tonight 64. Tomorrow, rain likely much of the day, becoming breezy. The rain could be heavy at times tomorrow night. The daytime high 74. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Tide 100.9. For more coverage of Alabama football, visit us at Tide100.9.com or download the free Tide 100.9 app.
The Crimson Tide will not be
All right, 10:20. Welcome back into the Gary Harris Show. Gary Harris, Chase Brumfeld, 205-342-9904 if you want to join the program. Right now, let's get to Jalen Milroe, Alabama quarterback who met with the media yesterday following practice and talked about this upcoming showdown with the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah, absolutely. Number one, Coach DeBoer talks about relentless pursuit to continuous improvement. I think that's so important for our offense, for our team, is constantly look for ways to improve. And most importantly, we have 3 games to reflect from. So that's so important when it comes to our development as a group, is understanding that there's so much room to improve, And number one, when we talk amongst each other, it's all about never getting complacent, acknowledging that we're not a finished product. And when you have that mindset, we'll never get complacent. We'll always have a mindset that we can have something to improve on, and something that we can recognize. We're an explosive group, and now it's all about how we can build that. How can we stack consistent great drives so that we can reflect and build on the sideline? And it's all about communication. I think that's so important as an offense, as a team, is that we have communication each and every series as we go on this path of success. It's all about communication, and so I think that's so important. But it starts with practice. Practice has been so important because that's how we can get better. And we have more practice reps than we do have game reps. So it's all about maximizing those opportunities, getting together, as one, and just constantly just trying to improve.
How much has Coach DeBoer kind of leaned on you and the guys that have been here that played Georgia before in preparation this week?
Yeah. So, most importantly for all of us, how can we be the best us, right? And we have guys that played against, great opponents, been in great atmospheres, played against, so many great defenses. And so that all of us, it's all about communication. What are some tells? What are some things that we can do so that we can be the best offense we can be? And, we have a lot of guys that, are from our returning starters or returning guys. And so they acknowledge, what needs to, take place to play 60 minutes of football. And so that's so important as we're game prepping, as we're getting together, just trying to reflect and build.
What have you seen in your preparation from Georgia's past?
Absolutely. I think number one, their strength is their linebackers. They have a really good linebacking core that plays harder the ball. Have a great nickel safety and Malachi Starks plays really hard. They ask a lot of him, and so when you ask a lot of a player, that shows that how special he is and how versatile he is on their defense. And so he's a special kid. Number 13, he's a good player, plays hard. He's going to try to give us fits up front. So it's going to be so important just to have our hands inside, make sure, we identify where he's at on the football field. And, they have a lot of guys that's gritty, plays hard, 32, plays his butt off, constantly flying to the ball. He's always around the ball. He plays hard. And then number one, they have a great coach in Kirby Smart. He's a great coach. He's definitely defensive-minded. And so he's going to put those guys in position to give us fits, give us a lot of things that we haven't seen before this season. So it's all come from preparation. It all comes from identifying where the key players are at and just trying to eliminate bad plays.
How exciting is it for you to be able to play big games like this, top 5 games at home?
No, 100%. As a recruit, you always, dreamt of moments like this, to play in great atmospheres, great games, and play SEC ball. This is our first test in the SEC. And so it's a great opportunity for us as a football team to have this game, and it's so important for us to just have fun, play fast, free, and fearless, and just acknowledge that it's going to be a hard task and it's going to take 60 minutes of football.
You mentioned, it's that veteran experience. Heading into SEC play, what's your message to the younger guys on the team, Ryan Williams, Jalen Walkway, that haven't played, an SEC before? What do you tell them to get them ready?
I think what's so important is acknowledging that it takes 60 minutes, In these games, you can't just have one good quarter. You have to keep stacking good drives, stacking good quarters, and always have the 1-0 mentality. I think that's so important. You know, there's going to be so many external factors that take place in the football game that, you know, we have to build on. You know, no matter what goes on, we can't flinch. And there's going to be so many moments as a group where we can have growth moments and improve throughout a game. And it's so important, you know, and it's all about using the resources with our coaches, communication within the players, and just trying to build as much as possible, because I think that's so important when you're playing the SEC play, because everybody's good in the SEC. A lot of great teams, and it's going to be so important. You know, we just hone in on just having the mindset of one.
Georgia has allowed one explosive play and one touchdown all season. That's kind of been the bread and butter for Alabama football so far. How would you say the time of possession battle throughout practice and that passing weeks has impacted this upcoming game?
No, we love that. We love that so much because we put all the preparation that's been done in the dark, we allow it to shine on Saturday through our preparation. And that's going to be so important when playing in these games to reflect on our preparation. You know, that's going to be so key. You know, I learned this when I was younger. You don't rise to the occasion, you fall back to your level of training. And every rep that we have at practice is all about maximizing our reps. We go through every situation in a football game so that we're prepared as a group. And, you know, I'm so excited for the group because we've just been preparing all together. Our chemistry has improved so much. We just reflect and build. And now having 3 games to reflect on, we just acknowledge the areas that we need to attack at so that when we have a game, we're just successful and ready to play.
Coach Gordon spoke about it yesterday, talking about having the link mentality. You guys have link mentality coming in as underdogs being at home. Can you just talk about that, having that mentality going in, knowing that y'all not favored, but still got to pull it off, though. So just talk about that.
Winning is hard. You know, that's something that we embrace as a football team, is that winning is hard. One motto that we try to preach much as possible is prepare like you never won before. You know, that's so key. You got to hate losing more than you love winning. And when it comes to the link mentality, it's more an internal thing as far as how can we prepare the best in the country? How can we maximize the reps that we have at practice? Because we're going to reflect on that. We're going to reflect on how we prepare for an opponent. And that's something that we try to do as much as possible, is that maximize all the opportunity that we have in the film prep, have with our coaches on the field. And that's going to factor in when it comes to playing an opponent. And so, you know, the mentality, it never changes. No matter who the opponent is, it's all about, you know, honing in on us, worried about us. You know, the cliche motto is all about us. It's so true when it comes to improving as a football team.
Without giving away any state secrets, how much do you guys have still left in the tank in terms of the offense that you can kind of roll out heading into SEC play?
You know, absolutely. You know, Coach Sheridan mentioned this at the very beginning of the season. He said, our first game should not be our best game. Our second game should be our best game. Each game that we have, we should look for more. You know, we should be starving for excellence. We should have a mindset of growth. You know, we should have a mindset of never being complacent. And that's going to be so important as we go along this journey of us. Away from that, you know, we just try to improve as much as possible and have fun along the journey.
What's the biggest difference in your game that you've noticed from maybe, you know, now to the beginning of, you know, last season when you first started?
I think through a journey, you know, you reflect on experience. You know, being a first-year starter is so important because, you know, you get to reflect on past film, you know, and, you know, you see so much as a quarterback at the quarterback position so that, you know, when it comes to being a second-year starter, you're not just comfortable. You know, you're just seeing everything as a defense. Preparation is different. There's just so many areas of growth that take place, you know, as you embark a second year playing on the field. So, but it just comes from preparation. It comes from being around great coaches, and I just had that along the journey of my 4th year in college.
I think it was Coach Sheridan said something about you setting up blocks better and stuff at the line of scrimmage, and just maybe probably just setting up the offense to seeing things. Are you seeing more stuff when you're heading to the line of scrimmage now that you kind of like bring through the ringer and everything?
No, absolutely. I think what's so important about film prep is that you look at the whole football field and it gives you tells to what a defense is, you know, trying to disguise, trying to give us. And it's all about solving problems. You know, I told the guys in the room that at the quarterback position, it's all about solving problems. You know, they're going to give us certain looks that's going to try to defeat, you know, our play call. How do we solve the problem? How can we, as a quarterback position, make the play better? And that's going to be so important moving forward when it comes to checks at the line, checking the play, putting our offense in the best position to be successful.
Last two. Would you call this game a theme of unstoppable force versus movable objects, where Alabama's offense was short statements?
The mentality for our group is attack. Every rep that we have, attack. You know, that's going to be so important through this game, through a hardship, through playing a tough opponent. It's all about attack. And acknowledging that it takes 60 minutes to win a football game and embracing the challenge. For all of us, you know, as a group, you know, we just have the mindset of being starving. You know, just trying to attack every rep that we have, maximizing every opportunity. Because it takes 4 quarters, you know, you never know when your opportunity presents itself to be successful. So it's all about attack, and that's the message this whole week.
Tyler over here just mentioned that on the Georgia defensive front, there's really only one new player from last year. So with so much familiarity, mostly the same personnel, does that help preparation?
I'll say, you know, for us as a group, you know, preparation is so key, and just identifying, you know, their strengths and weaknesses as a team. And that's so important, you know, when looking at the guys that are returning and to now, they're just growing confidence with chemistry all together. So that just gives us a hard task, you know, playing a tough opponent in Georgia that with their returning starters and a lot of guys that gel together. You know, it's hard to beat a team rather than individuals. They have a team that we're playing against. So it's going to be a hard task for us. We got to keep preparing. We're here on Tuesday, so we have a couple days to prepare and just try to maximize every opportunity we have, because they're going to definitely give us some looks that we have to challenge as a group to just try to master and just trying to not get complacent. Just always.
You can take on your day. Start your day with Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist recommended vitamin and supplement brand. Based on a survey of pharmacists who recommend branded vitamins and supplements.
You see him on WVUA 23 covering sports and on Tider Insider TV on Tuesday nights. Don't miss a minute of the Gary Harris Show. Weekdays from 9 to 11 on Tide 100.9.
All right, 10:35. Welcome back into the Gary Harris Show and the sweet sounds of Sweet Home Alabama. Welcome us back in for Larry Butler, Larry the Music Man, our weekly segment talking about the origins of Southern rock, blues, all types of music we get into. Good morning, Larry. How's it going, buddy?
Good morning, Gary. Great show this morning.
Thank you, man. Good to have you a part of it. And one reason I want to play a little Skinner there is I know I'm going to let you go with what you want, but I want to get into a little Al Cooper discussion too this morning at some point.
When you mentioned that, I had a segment in my head later on for October, and it's pretty good. You're going to love it. I was in Jacksonville when all that happened, but yeah, I'd like to hear. I know what you're going to say. Go ahead and give the man his due, Al Cooper.
Well, he's really, I don't know without Al Cooper if there is a Leonard Skinner.
What never happened.
Yeah, so it's just that simple, really.
You know, he was keyboard player with Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and he came south. He was also a record producer and this and that. He did a lot of things, but he heard the original band at a place called Pinocchio's in Atlanta in the early 70s, and he said, my God, he says, I got to do something with these boys. And it wasn't for him and that break right there, I don't know what, they may have just disappeared in between the cracks. I don't think they would have. They were too talented. But, yeah, he heard something, and, man, he took it. He put them on the net. You know, he put them up there. So.
All right, he sure did. Well, what you got? I want
to tell you about Sweet Home Alabama. Yeah. That Bob Burns, the original drummer, had a lot of mental issues in the end, but what he did on Sweet Home Alabama, and it don't take, you can hear it with your ears, that beautiful rim shot and hi-hats, that open and close. He did, that song there is what music's all about. The dynamics, it starts strong, then it drops when he goes in the verse and he goes to his rim shot on the snare. And that open and close hi-hat, you know, what he did on that was beautiful. But, and of course, you know the story, I'm sure. Ronnie Van Zant had his headphones on. He said, turn it up.
That's right.
He couldn't hear, and they said, leave it in. The producer said, leave it in. Anyway.
Yeah, I wanted to go back to something. The guy that called last week, and I can't remember his name, I'd be guessing, about the original band Fox, the Wet Willie would become Wet Willie. It was Mike Duke was the original keyboard player. John Anthony came in later, but I thought that was interesting. And so I got to probing. I called my friend in Macon. This a long time playing bud and grew up in Macon. He's a tad older than me, but I said, give me some information on that album cover, Keep On Smiling. Actually, it was Reverend Pearlie Brown, was a local street musician. He was blind. And Wet Willie would see him on the street in front of this liquor store. It's called Macon City Liquors Inn, and I don't even think it's there anymore. But they got so much inspiration from him. He would sing the bad times, and he said, but you got to keep on smiling. And yeah, man. I thought it was just interesting, and if I knew it, I forgot about it. But the sign around his neck said, God loves a cheerful giver.
How about that?
What a great, for a street musician wanting donations, that's about as good as you can get. But anyway, we're getting ready for GABA.
Right.
We're going up or down. And this weather don't look good, man. Looks like y'all dodging a bullet, and it's all going to come across Georgia.
Yeah, with the way these things
and
work.
That's all right. I mean, that's the way it goes, man.
When you're to the west of it, you get less, and when you're to the east of it or in the path, obviously you get much more rain. But with Alabama playing Georgia this weekend in Tuscaloosa, I'm glad we're going to miss the.
Me too, man. 'Cause I'll have it tuned in. We got a big weekend ahead, but I'm planning on fitting that in the schedule. So. But I appreciate everybody calling in, and that's funny you brought Al Cooper up, because I was fixing the next week journey down to Jacksonville, where I spent some time down there about a year, and actually heard the up and coming band. Before they were even big, they were just a bar band. So I hadn't even covered that yet, but we'll hold that. But how did you get on to Al Cooper?
Well, I just obviously being a fan of Leonard Skinner and like I said, read up on him. And then this week I just happened to see a picture on Facebook of Al Cooper with Leonard Skinner, and it just kind of I thought, man, this would be great to get into this with Larry at some point in time, and we'll do more. But that's all there really was to it. So I told Chase, I said, play that instrumental version of Sweet Home Alabama to get in this segment, because I'm going to mention Al Cooper right at the top. So that's all there. But like you said,
that first album is kind of like Wet Willie. The album Downtown cover, the cover photo of the first album that was in Jonesboro, Georgia. Where the studio was up there, where Studio One, where I did a lot of my heyday playing and doing for that. And that's another story, but, when a songwriter writes a song, he has to pitch it to the artist, and it's got to have some music to it. So that's kind of where I come in, demos. Mm-hmm. An artist can hear a song a lot better with guitar, drums, bass.
Oh, absolutely.
Keyboard. Yeah, and there was good honey in that, so...
For sure. Hey, let's get to a couple phone calls here, Larry. We got.
I don't want to run my mouth the whole 30 minutes. I want to hear from people.
We got to Bryce and RV. Let's get to Bryce first, Chase. Go ahead and punch him through. Hey, go ahead, Bryce.
Larry, how are you?
Bryce, did you get enough food in Macon?
I did. It's good food and it's good price. Just next time I go through there, I'm going to go to the big house. Real quick, I want to touch on something. I had always thought, until last week you said about sitting on the dock of the bay, Otis Reddy. I always thought that was wrote in Muscle Shoals, but it wasn't. It was recorded somewhere else.
That was Phil Walden handled Otis Reddy. In fact, we'll be at the museum, and then he had a farm. He was making it pretty good and bought a farm in Juliet, Georgia. But no, that was Stax Records. Now Percy Sledge
Yeah.
You know, the story with Otis is he was a chauffeur for Johnny. Here we go. My mind just went blank. Johnny Otis. And when he took Johnny Otis and loaded the trunk at Stax Records in Memphis, remember we talked about the line from Memphis to Muscle Shoals?
Right.
And he kept bugging Steve Cropper in the band. He said, I got one song, let me play it. Just let me play on the piano, I promise you. It'll be quick. And he bugged him to death, and Steve Cropper said, well, go on upstairs. There's the piano. Steve went up there. He said, maybe we get this over quick. And Otis sat down and went into These Arms of Mine. Steve Cropper said his hair stood up on both arms, and he called the band, you better get up here now. We done found something. So that's kind of where Otis got it. Now, I'm not sure about the Muscle Shoals. He may have picked some songs to recall. I'm not sure about that, but that's a good point.
I always thought it was, but I'm glad you cleared that up for me.
Well, Otis, like I said, and we talked about it last week, the only difference in Memphis and Muscle Shoals was just a matter of miles. You know, we're talking about your man. And
right, Travis.
Womack. And there's, like I said, it's Memphis, Alabama, Atlanta, Macon, Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. If you trace all that, that's where Southern Rock was born. Duane Allman pretty much started the whole ball rolling, you know. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Did Greg?
Yeah, man. And Gary, are you doing a remote? Gary, are you doing a remote Friday? Or are you going to be in the studio?
Well, I'm trying to work all that out.
I might try to call you and just talk a little bit about what's going on up there. And
okay, together awards. Yeah, I've got, I've got to talk with my friend Robbie Glenn because he wants me to be over there for the Striker Strong Golf Tournament at Bentbrook, and I told him I would.
Oh, okay, no problem.
But then I got into this agreement with Innisfree to do Fridays at the Free, so I'm gonna have to figure it all out. But yeah, if you want to call in and give us an update,
just message me. I'll have plenty to talk about next week. It don't matter.
Yeah,
Bryce, I appreciate your call.
One more thing.
Okay.
One more thing. While I got you online, Gary, I'm going to give you my prediction. 28-21 Bama.
Good. 28-21 Bama over Georgia. Got it, Bryce.
Hey, good talking to you, Larry, but I did tell y'all about Percy and Travis doing a gospel album before he passed, didn't I?
I'm not sure.
I don't think you did.
You didn't.
Yeah. They did a gospel album. Him and Travis did before Percy passed. It's pretty good. I got a copy of it. Travis gave me a copy.
I did some shows for Percy in the late 70s and early 80s. We'll talk about that sometime. That was interesting.
Awesome.
Yeah,
all right, Bryce, listen, I got to get to another call here.
I know, man, but I appreciate you letting me talk. I just want to get my prediction in.
Yes,
Have a good day, Larry.
Appreciate you, Bryce.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, let's get RV in here with Larry Chase. Good morning, RV.
Yeah. Hey, good morning, everybody. I was wanting to talk about Willie last week. What I want to talk about this week is a group from Arkansas, Black Oak, Arkansas.
Oh, yeah, Jim Dandy, yeah.
Jim Dandy to the Rick. Yes, sir. Big Jim, yeah.
I wanted to see if Larry considers that true Southern rock or not. That's pretty commercial.
I would have to give them their due. I would have to give them their due at that particular time. Southern rock was still, I'll have to think of the date that song came out. Late 70s or
yeah, it had to be.
Yeah, that was still
70s.
Mid to late mid. Yeah. Yes, sir. I'd have to say that.
Yeah,
I'm saying a lot of people like that band was good live now.
Yeah, you might Southern rock. There's so many terms, and RV's onto something here. There was a term, Larry. I wonder if you're familiar with it that made the rounds for a while called boogie rock.
Oh yes, yeah.
I wonder if we might call Black Oak, Arkansas, boogie rock.
High energy boogie.
Yeah, with the glam and with Jim Dandy. And I got a quick story, RV and Larry, about Black Oak, Arkansas to tell you, the true performers. Just a few years ago, there was an organization that put together a fundraiser up in, I want to say it was either Jasper, Coleman, somewhere like that. And Black Oak, Arkansas was the headliner, and buddy, it came a gully washer. And I didn't go, but I got some tickets for some friends of mine, and they went. And Larry and RV, they said there couldn't have been over 100 people there. It just, it was wet and soaked and it was outside.
That's sad.
And they said that they went on and played. And, of course, in their 70s or whatever they are now, and Jim Dandy, they, and I don't know how many true originals were in there, but so they put on a show and rocked it like it was, 10,000 people there. So
man, they were just glad to be there. That's the beautiful thing about older musicians when they get a chance to play again. They act like it didn't ever quit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just plug it back in, man.
Yeah.
I want you to think about something, Gary. Think about Jim Dandy. He was close to he was before David Lee Roth, but he had I think David Lee Roth may have saw some of his shows.
I don't think there's any doubt. I don't think there's any doubt that David Lee Roth saw Jim Dandy Mangrum and based a lot of his outfits, costumes, showmanship. No doubt. Yeah. RV, you a big Black Oak, Arkansas fan?
Well, there was just a couple of songs.
Yeah.
That I was
RV, how old are you?
67.
Okay, I'm 71. So anybody over 55 on should have a vivid memory. Gary, you're 60, and you had an ear for music.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, my bucket list is to get over there and sit in with you when you do karaoke. I'll bring my little cajon. I've been talking about Mayman. I said, look, we got to get over to Tuscaloosa.
Oh, I'd love to get you over here. I'll call one of my bar owner friends and just say, hey, Larry's going to play the guitar and I'm gonna sing a little bit, because I used to love to get up on stage with some of these local bands. I haven't done it in a while, but and just sing, like I said, for fun. I enjoy it, man. That'd be great. So have to get RV out to listen to me.
Hey, man, that'd be almost as big as Trump coming to town.
I tell people I'm not a singer, but I like to sing. But one thing about me, I understand how to perform, and I know how to sing songs that at least I can somewhat pull off. I'm not a great singer, but I know what I can try to sing and what not to try to sing. And
I heard you do a few notes.
Yeah, that makes a big difference, though, when you know what you can and can't do, and don't do what you can't do. That's for sure.
Hey, that applies to anybody that plays. Yeah. Believe me, don't cross that line.
Yeah, Gary Harris to the rescue.
Yeah, how about that? All right, RV, thank you, my friend. Larry, we gotta cut it off here because I got to get to the break and then come back and wrap up the show. But
enjoyed it, Gary.
Give us a little. Again, those again, the awards. Is it? Make sure I'm right on this. Is it GABA or Gabby? These Georgia Almond Brothers awards.
It's Georgia Almond Brothers Band Association's GABA.
GABA, okay, and that is this weekend.
It starts tomorrow. It started today. We'll be leaving about lunch and then be there to Sunday.
Oh, wow. So
like I said, I don't want to intrude on your schedule. It's not a long, I just would like to call in and kind of tell you what's going on, and if you can, just let me know what your schedule.
All right, brother, I'll do it, man. I'll look forward to it. Hey, thank you, Larry.
Thank you. All
right. At 10:51 here on the Gary Harris Show, we got time for one more segment. Obviously, we have to get it in, but we'll have 3 or 4 minutes if you want to give us a ring, 205-342-9904. Already, I've got a few comments sent to me about my coach rankings. Not everybody agrees, obviously. A couple people said I've got Kalen DeBoer too high at number 2. I don't see it that way, but I might touch on that when we come back here on the other side. This is the Gary Harris Show.
On the next Inside the Locker Room with Coach Wimp Sanderson and Barry Sanderson.
Tune in Tuesday, 7:30. We'll have J.C. Sherbert. We'll go around the ACC with J.C., brought to you by Yellowwood. In the second hour, Dad will pick his Blue Plate special, coming off a victory in the Tennessee game. Hopefully he will get hot. Plus, we'll take
most powerful fat incinerator ever to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text HUNK to 42424. That's HUNK to 42424.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Cloudy with occasional rain across West Alabama today and tonight. The high today 79, the low tonight 64. Tomorrow, rain likely much of the day, becoming breezy. The rain can be heavy at times tomorrow night. The daytime high 74. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
A national championship team covering a national championship team. The best sports talk in the state. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
right, 10:55, knocking it on down. Did you check to see if we had any app messages, Chase? I hadn't checked in a while. I know lately I've been missing some. None today?
No, we don't have any today.
But I did get a couple points of feedback from people saying that I've got DeBoer too high. Obviously, I disagree. I mean, I've got him at number 2 because I think he's the most accomplished head coach outside of Kirby Smart. I just feel that way. I mean, he's played for a national championship. And nobody else on that list has. In fact, he beat Sark head up last year in the college football playoff semifinal. So, I would put him at number 2. And, but, doesn't really matter. It's just my opinion. But I think that outside of Kirby, he's the most accomplished head coach. I know you could say Brian Kelly at Notre Dame and LSU, but to me, Brian Kelly has always been a little bit of an underachiever. And I should clarify that Brian Kelly has played for a national championship like DeBoer. He played for a national championship when he was at Notre Dame against Alabama, as we remember. So, yeah, it's all subjective. I think right now, in my opinion, I would take Kalen DeBoer over Brian Kelly all day. I'd take Kalen DeBoer over, the reason I got him number 2 is I take him over everybody else other than Kirby Smart. I mean, there's no way you can look at Kirby Smart's resume and say he's not number 1. And after that, I think Lane Kiffin's a great coach. I think what he's done at Ole Miss is been good. I think Sark's a really good coach. So those first 4 or 5, you can probably, outside of Kirby at 1, it's up for debate who'd be number 2. I'll give you that. I mean, if you said I'm going to take Sark and Kiffin and Kelly over DeBoer, I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with you for saying that. But for my list, I've got DeBoer at number 2. And hopefully he'll prove me right and beat Kirby on Saturday night. All right, that's going to wrap it up for the Gary Harris Show. We got T-Town Sports Daily coming up next at 11 a.m. with Wyatt and Chase, and then the Miller's Edge from noon until 2. Fowler will take you home this afternoon with the game from 2 until 6. I'll be back here tomorrow morning with the jam-packed Thursday edition of the Gary Harris Show. The coach, Ellis Johnson, and many others as guests tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody, and I'll talk to you again in the morning at 9 a.m.